You ever have one of those moments where reality smacks you across the face like a cold wind in February, and you realize you've been starring in your own tragic rom-com without knowing it? Yeah, that was me, except there was nothing romantic or comedic about being introduced as a driver by the woman I had been dating for 2 years, at a party that I helped pay for. It started innocently enough. A guy, me 32, contractor, self-made, meets a woman, let's call her Susan, 29, IT support, sassy, stunning, with the kind of charm that made bartenders forget you even existed when she walked into the room. We met through mutual friends on trivia night. I knew the capital of Kazakhstan, she knew how to light up a room. Match made in millennial heaven. Things were golden in the beginning. We'd explore the city, try exotic ramen spots, cuddle through indie flicks at that tiny theater where the popcorn machine was louder than the dialogue. Looking back, though, there were little red flags flapping gently in the breeze. Snide remarks about my flannel shirts, light jabs about my truck. She never once introduced me to her coworkers. But hey, I was smitten. Love's a powerful filter. Susan worked downtown at a tech firm, not exactly a corner office kind of job, more of the my password is not working again support kind. But she talked about her job like she was CEO and MVP rolled into one. Confidence was not her issue. Me, I ran my own contracting business. Nothing flashy, no marble office floors, but solid, honest work. I built it from the ground up and was proud of that. Paid my bills, gave me purpose, and hey, I looked good in a hard hat. About a month before things blew up like a DIY fireworks show gone wrong, Susan started stressing over a corporate client party she was helping organize. Fancy hotel, big names, pressure on. She was twitchy about details and money. Her lease had gone up, and she was casually suggesting she might need to crash at my place temporarily. Subtle. Being the supportive guy I am, I chipped in. Bought her a designer dress, $450, yes, my wallet cried a little. A high-end gift basket for her boss, $200, plus other odds and ends. We are not talking yak money, but not exactly spare change either. The night of the party rolled around. I showed up looking sharp, fresh haircut, suit that whispered successful but humble, and a confidence boost courtesy of whiskey-scented aftershave. I was ready to mingle, nibble overpriced hors d'oeuvres, and beam proudly at my girlfriend. That was the plan. She barely looked at me when I picked her up. No wow, you look great. Just, did you bring the basket? Ah, romance. At the hotel, something shifted. She grew stiff, like I'd morphed into a human embarrassment. As we headed into the ballroom, she subtly moved ahead of me like she was trying to create a buffer zone. Maybe you should wait at the bar, she said. I offered to help carry stuff instead, and she reluctantly agreed. The ballroom was impressive, glittering lights, elegant trays of canapes, people in suits that cost more than my truck. Susan spotted some coworkers, and I followed behind like a lost intern. Then it happened. A woman in a sleek dress greeted her and asked, "Who's this?" Just as I reached out to shake hands, Susan chirped, "Oh, this is Alex, my driver tonight." Driver. Loud enough for the champagne flutes to wince. The woman blinked, eyeing my clearly not chauffeur-level suit. "Your driver?" she asked, puzzled. Susan laughed awkwardly, saying something about me dropping her off and heading out. Then she turned to me and said, "Right, Alex?" I had two choices, raise hell or take the classy route. I chose class, gently pulled her aside and asked, "What was that?" She rolled her eyes and hissed, "These people are important. My career is on the line. Just go wait in the car or something." I reminded her I'd paid for her dress. That's when she dropped the kicker. "You should be grateful I even let you in." I nodded, said, "You're right," and left. Calm, controlled. The human equivalent of the mic drop. By the time I got home, I had a flurry of texts. "Where are you? Are you serious? Don't be dramatic." I didn't answer. I just drank a cold beer and let the clarity wash over me. The next day, she was at my door with puffy eyes and perfect mascara because of course. She launched into the apology tour. "It was a joke," she said. "You're too sensitive." She blamed it on stress and begged for forgiveness. She even suggested a romantic weekend away. Her tears were convincing, but I'd seen better performances in daytime soaps. Still, I played along, let her believe I bought the act. A week later, she called me bubbly and cheerful. Her birthday was coming up. She wanted to host a dinner for her coworkers at a trendy restaurant, but surprise, she was short on cash. Would I help? I asked, "You want me to pay for it?" She sweetly replied, "It would mean so much to me." No invite for me, though just a boring work thing with shop talk I wouldn't enjoy. Classic. I told her, "Sure, I'll put down my card," and handed her one, not my usual one, of course. Let the games begin. On the night of the dinner, I canceled the card, called the company and told them I'd lost it. They shut it down instantly. Then I suited up better than before and strolled into the restaurant. I took a seat at the bar, tucked behind a decorative screen with a perfect view of the private room. Around 7:30, the circus arrived. Susan looked radiant, new dress, new lies. Her coworkers gathered around her like flies to glitter. And then there was him, some guy with roaming hands on her back. She didn't seem to mind. They laughed, clinked glasses, snapped selfies. Susan was glowing. The server brought the bill, and she proudly handed over my card, brushing off offers to split it. My treat, I imagined her cooing. Then, plot twist, the server returned, quiet whispering. Susan's face contorted from smug to stunned in seconds. She whipped out her phone, likely texting me panic mode messages. My phone buzzed. "Alex, card not working. Emergency. Bill is over $1,200. I took a sip of scotch and admired the show. Finally, I texted her, "Look behind you." She scanned the room. Our eyes locked. Her face drained of color like someone just spoiled the end of her favorite show. I strolled over, envelope in hand. The room went quiet like a bad live Mick moment at the Oscars. "Hi, everyone." I smiled. I'm or was Susan's boyfriend. I laid out photos of us together, vacations, holidays, coupley stuff. Also the guide who paid for her dress, her boss's gift basket, and got called a driver for the effort. Cue awkward silence. The guy with the wandering hand shrank into his chair. Susan tried to salvage it with a desperate, "Can we talk outside?" I waved her off with a smile. No need. I just came to say happy birthday and let you know the card was canceled. Oh, and no, I'm not grateful you let me in, but I am grateful for the clarity. I left her there with the check and an audience. She grabbed my arm and hissed, "At least pay the bill." I looked at her, smiled, and whispered, kindly, "Piss off." Then I walked out like a scene from a movie with better lighting and a killer soundtrack. The fallout was a beautiful mess. She spammed my phone with calls and texts, half apologizing, half threatening to ruin my reputation. Good luck with that. I blocked her. She showed up twice at my place. I didn't open the door, ignored the voicemails, deleted the sob stories. Then, plot twist, one of her coworkers messaged me on LinkedIn. Apparently, there'd been an HR investigation after her boss saw the photos. Turns out Susan had been inflating her job role, claiming credit for things she didn't touch. The guy she was flirting with at dinner, a senior developer she'd been secretly dating. After that night, he ghosted her harder than a haunted house in July. 2 weeks later, another knock on my door. This time, her parents, the Davis duo, looking sheepish. I let them in. We came to apologize. Her mom said she's been struggling, lost her job, moved back in with us. I told them I didn't wish her harm, just wanted her gone. Her dad admitted they'd pushed her to chase security, told her to use her looks while she had them. Now they saw where that path had led. They handed me an envelope. Inside was a handwritten note from Susan, along with a check for $925. She sold some of her designer things, her dad said. We made her take responsibility. I thanked them. It was never about the money. It was about dignity and finally reclaiming mine. Today, business is thriving. I've started dating again cautiously. Met a kindergarten teacher over coffee last week. When I told her I was a contractor, she actually asked thoughtful questions, seemed impressed by my work, not just the title. Sometimes, I think about that night at the hotel ballroom, about being called a driver like I was just someone she'd summoned from an app. It hurt then, but now, I'm glad it happened. Because sometimes people reveal themselves in subtle jabs, other times in grand gestures of disrespect. Either way, when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. And that, my friends, is how I went from being the driver to driving away from a toxic relationship with my dignity, credit score, and sense of humor fully intact. If you enjoyed this wild ride of betrayal, revenge, and poetic justice with a side of scotch, Don't forget to hit that like button, smash subscribe,